January 22, 2026 is the date stamped across every case file tied to Ryan James' wedding. That was the night the former Olympic snowboarder was arrested in Mexico City, ending more than 10 years as an international fugitive. As Mexican authorities confirmed his identity and U.S. federal agents moved in, Wedding's carefully protected life in hiding collapsed. The man, once introduced to the world as a Canadian Olympian, now stood accused of leading a violent transnational drug enterprise tied to 3 separate unaliving cases across 2 countries. His arrest did not just mark the capture of a wanted man, it marked the moment when a long-buried story finally surfaced in full. Wedding was taken into custody without a public standoff near the U.S. Embassy in Mexico City. According to officials, he surrendered after realizing the pressure closing in around him had become impossible to escape. In the days surrounding his arrest, Mexican authorities seized dozens of high-end motorcycles, luxury vehicles, and other assets allegedly linked to his organization. Investigators estimated the value of the seized property at tens of millions of dollars. These seizures were not symbolic. They were part of a coordinated effort to dismantle what prosecutors described as a sophisticated and extremely violent drug trafficking network. At the time of his arrest, Wedding was one of the most wanted fugitives in North America. The Federal Bureau of Investigation had placed him on its 10 most wanted list and announced a reward of up to $15 million for information leading to his capture. Officials alleged that Wedding oversaw large-scale cocaine trafficking routes, moving product from Colombia through Mexico and into the United States and Canada. Even more disturbing, prosecutors alleged that he ordered acts of violence to protect those routes, including 3 unalivings tied directly to drug debts and retaliation. The first alleged unaliving case occurred in November 2023 in Caledon, Ontario, Canada. According to Canadian authorities, 2 masked individuals forced their way into a family home late at night. Their intended target was not present. Instead, they encountered a married couple who had no direct involvement in the drug trade. Both adults were unalived at the scene, while a third family member survived with serious injuries. Investigators later alleged that this attack was ordered as retaliation for a stolen shipment of cocaine, and that Wedding approved the act to send a message. The case shocked the community and drew national attention in Canada due to the brutality and apparent case of mistaken identity. The second alleged unaliving took place months later, in May 2024, in Los Angeles County, California. Federal prosecutors allege that a man involved in a drug debt dispute with Wedding's organization was targeted after failing to repay money connected to a cocaine transaction. According to court filings, Wedding allegedly authorized the act from Mexico, using intermediaries to pass along instructions. The victim was found unalived in a vehicle, and investigators later tied phone records, financial transfers, and cooperating witnesses back to Wedding's network. This case formed a critical part of the U.S. indictment and helped establish what prosecutors described as a pattern of command-level control over violence. The third alleged unaliving occurred in August 2024 in Ontario, again connected to the same trafficking organization. Authorities allege that an associate who was believed to be cooperating with law enforcement was unalived to prevent further leaks. This incident, combined with the earlier Ontario case and the California case, led prosecutors to allege that Wedding was directly responsible for ordering 3 separate unalivings as part of maintaining discipline and control within his enterprise. By September 2024, the United States District Court for the Central District of California issued a sealed arrest warrant for Wedding. The charges included operating a continuing criminal enterprise, conspiracy to distribute controlled substances, and responsibility for multiple unalivings in furtherance of that enterprise. Prosecutors alleged that Wedding functioned as a high-level organizer, rarely handling drugs himself, but directing shipments, payments, and enforcement through trusted lieutenants. In March 2025, the FBI publicly added Wedding to its 10 most wanted list. During a press conference in Los Angeles, officials described him as armed, extremely dangerous, and protected by cartel-level resources in Mexico. They confirmed that he used multiple aliases and frequently changed locations to avoid detection. Authorities also stated that Wedding had access to corrupt officials and former law enforcement officers who allegedly provided security and intelligence. As pressure increased, the U.S. Department of the Treasury imposed sanctions in November 2025 on Wedding and several individuals believed to be part of his financial network. These sanctions aimed to freeze assets, disrupt money movement, and isolate him from legitimate financial systems. Prosecutors later stated that these measures significantly limited his ability to remain hidden and contributed to his decision to surrender. To understand how Ryan James Wedding reached this point, it is necessary to go further back. Wedding was born on September 14, 1981, in Thunder Bay, Ontario. He grew up as a competitive athlete and eventually earned a spot on Canada's Olympic snowboarding team. In February 2002, he competed in the Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City, Utah, finishing 24th in the men's parallel giant slalom. At the time, his future appeared rooted in sports and sponsorships. After the Olympics, however, Wedding's life shifted dramatically. By 2008, he had become involved in cocaine trafficking. That year, he was arrested in San Diego, California, during an undercover operation in which he attempted to purchase a significant quantity of cocaine. He later pleaded guilty in U.S. federal court and was sentenced in 2010 to 4 years in prison. Following his release, authorities allege that Wedding returned to drug trafficking on a much larger scale. Rather than operating independently, he began aligning himself with powerful organizations in Mexico. Investigators believe this period marked his transition from participant to organizer. He allegedly moved to Mexico, where he lived openly under cartel protection while coordinating shipments into the United States and Canada. By the early 2020s, Wedding's organization had allegedly become deeply entrenched. Prosecutors described a structure involving transporters, enforcers, financial facilitators, and corrupt insiders. They alleged that Wedding insulated himself from direct involvement by issuing orders through intermediaries, making it difficult for law enforcement to tie him directly to violent acts until cooperating witnesses emerged. The 3 unaliving cases ultimately became the cornerstone of the prosecution's narrative. Together, they painted a picture of a man willing to authorize extreme violence to protect profit and power. Each case added weight to the argument that Wedding was not simply a trafficker, but the leader of a criminal enterprise that treated human life as expendable. When Wedding surrendered in January 2026, he brought an end to years of international pursuit. He now faces extradition to the United States, where prosecutors intend to present evidence spanning more than a decade, multiple countries, and 3 alleged unalivings. The athlete who once represented Canada on the world stage now stands at the center of one of the most significant organized crime cases of the decade. Thank you for watching and staying through this case. Stories like this raise hard questions about power, choices, and accountability. I would love to know what you think about the Ryan James Wedding case, so share your thoughts in the comments. If you found this breakdown helpful, please like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you do not miss future uploads.